number one tip is that if you have a contract, like a written contract with your client, or even if it's a purchase order, there needs to be some language there that is saying that chargebacks are not permitted once you sign this, because you understand the nature of the services or the products that are being provided, and they're customized, or even if they're not customized. There's a lot of work that goes into it in order to give them that final product or service, especially if you're a service-oriented industry. There's a lot of event planners, photographers, the event professionals in general, who ended up getting a lot of chargebacks because either something was canceled or they couldn't deliver the entire package because of COVID especially. And so a lot of chargebacks were happening, and then the chargeback was for the entire amount. And I know as professionals in the service industry that there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes before the final product is actually provided and delivered to your customer. And so a lot of times you're like, I want to get compensated for that. Even if I don't get the final product, I can definitely get compensation for the work that we have done. But what happens with chargebacks is that you don't get that compensation. Everything is given back generally to the consumer. So you want to have language in your contract. So they're signing that, or they're agreeing to it by purchasing it and moving forward. So that's notice, and it's showing agreement also. But then later on it shows evidence that you do have a policy, and your client, this person that is now asking for a chargeback, knew about this policy, they agreed to the policy, and here's your evidence for the policy as well. And so you need to have it in writing. It's really helpful. Now, number two with the chargebacks is that maybe your payment plan needs to be a little bit different. Maybe you take payments in a divided form rather than a lump sum in the front or at the end of the services. So what happens is that at least when you have a payment plan system, there's partial money that is being considered as compensation for the work that you have already done, or compensation for a booking of a date that is being reserved for a certain person and a client, and you're not giving it that booking or date to anybody else. And so you can take an advance that is non-refundable, and that needs to be in your contract again, or in language that is obviously apparent to your consumer, whether it's on your website or whether it's in their receipt or whatever. There needs to be language where, again, they're getting notice, they're agreeing to it, and it's showing that we are taking an advance because we are reserving this spot for you, and nobody else can take that spot. And so we're missing out on all potential clients and potential revenue that could be coming in on a future date because we're giving it to you. And so that is called consideration, and it is justifiable. Now, when it comes to the time of the chargeback and you've gotten notice from the credit card company that, hey, somebody's charging back, have your paperwork available, have it ready to go, have your emails ready to go. And if there is some emails that you're having correspondence between you and the client, and now you're starting feeling like, okay, this is kind of getting a little contentious, this is getting where there's a disagreement about the payment, there's a disagreement about how much to be paid, try to resolve it if you can. Try to resolve it, because there are times as a consumer where you're just like, well, I didn't get the final deliverables, and because I didn't get the final deliverables, why do I need to pay for everything else? That there's no understanding that everything else might be that you have worked hard, you have prepared, you have put in some hours into it. So think about a compensation settlement with your client where you feel that you're getting compensated for the amount of work that you've done, but you're also giving them a fair deal. And then put that in writing where they're agreeing to it. And so therefore they won't go back and still do the chargeback, even though they've agreed to it, right? So have that agreement between you and your client if you are coming to some sort of settlement where there is some compensation coming to you and there's some type of refund coming to them. Have it in writing that there's this agreement that is happening. And then later on, when you are protecting yourself and defending this chargeback, you can take all of this information, take all of the documents, take all of the emails, take the agreements that they signed, take your purchase order, and you send it as a package. And you tell the credit card company, hey, listen, this wasn't something that was a surprise. This was something that they knew about. They had noticed, they agreed to it, and here you go.